What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, Jabba's kit finally came out, and I can't wait to dive into it with you guys because I am trying not to sound biased, but I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with this kit. I am very, very excited for when it comes out to see what people do with it, because there's just a lot of theory crafting, and there's just a lot of crazy things that this kit does. So, yeah, let's just get it right into it. Okay, so Jabba is bounty hunter, smuggler, support, Hut Cartel, Dark Side, Galactic Legend. Okay, we don't really need to read this. We can just get straight into it. All right. Where is the? Oh yeah, that's right. They have all their little things. Okay, so basic. Nice animation. You know, call to assist. He puts out two fingers, does something like that. I don't know. Final text. Call other weakest Hut Cartel ally to assist, dealing 10% more damage for each active Hut Cartel ally. Bounty hunters and smuggler allies gain protection up 10% for 2 turns. Kind of reminds me of like a basic from Padme, you know, with the protection up. You know, it is a call to assist, so the only downside to that is if people are dazed, it's literally just, you know, wave your hand and get bonus protection up. During Jabba's turn, he inflicts blind on target enemy, gains 6% ultimate charge, and the weakest Hut Cartel ally recovers 30% protection. Hut Cartel allies gain protection up 30% for 2 turns. Now, why do they put that in there? Why do they put that in there that during Jabba's turn? Because there are ways to call him to assist. You know, he is a bounty hunter, so you can use Grief Karga, you can use Bosk, you can use Dengar if you know you get the RNG. And then also Mando can call him to assist, but then more importantly, Skiffguard. Skiffguard is also has the ability to call him to assist. So that's pretty important to know. All right, let's go on to the first special, Crime Lord. Okay, I'm assuming he's gonna be laughing here. I'm assuming he's gonna be laughing at all of his abilities. I mean, honestly, if he's not laughing all the time, then I don't know what CG's doing. Dispel all debuffs on allies and inflict speed down for 2 turns on all enemies. Other bounty hunter, Hut Cartel, and smuggler allies gained hired muscle for 2 turns. That's probably going to be the hardest thing about Jabba, is we're getting a lot of new buffs. I believe there's 4 unique buffs just to this team. There is hired muscle, there's my kind of scum, then there's Hut's favor, and then there's the other one that Skiffguard does, the what is it, deep cover. So a lot of different buffs, so we got to make sure we brush up our buff knowledge, make sure we know what these things are doing while we're going against this team and using it. So hired muscle, 30% tenacity, immune to daze and fear. That's pretty good, especially when you consider Boush Leia makes some of them immune to stun and ability blocked. So now we're going to be immune to daze and fear. This team is going to be very, very hard to land debuffs against. Maybe not like dots or thermals or stuff like that, but you know, your big debuffs, it's going to be tough. It's going to be pretty tough. And then hired muscle also provides different benefits based on the character's role. Attackers once per turn, whenever another ally uses an ability, they assist, dealing 70% less damage. That's kind of crazy. Boush Leia is going to be like assisting twice because she assists with her unique when a Hut Cartel ally uses an ability, and then on top of that, she's going to be doing that. So thermals it's going to start raining thermals. Like just keep that in mind. Tanks, immune to critical hits, so crit immunity. That's kind of nice. Healers and supports on attack, allies recover 10% health and protection. I'm assuming, is that for everybody? It just says allies recover. So I guess, yeah, it's for everybody. So whenever healers and support do stuff, they're going to be healing up the team. And that's probably where the bulk of our healing is going to come from. It's kind of cool, honestly. Okay. When hired muscle expires, it provides different benefits based on the character's faction. Bounty hunters gain defense pen up for 2 turns. Smugglers gain speed up for 2 turns. And Hut Cartel gain advantage for 2 turns. So the one thing, if you guys haven't noticed yet, there's like no scoundrel synergy here yet. Just because, yes, all smugglers are scoundrels, except for Jabba. I believe Jabba is the first smuggler in the game that is not a scoundrel. And I think the reason for that is they don't want you to put Cat on this team or Bam, because honestly, those are two very, very powerful characters. And when you put them on pretty much any scoundrel team, that team is getting a significant boost. Special 2, Crumb's Revenge. Not too crazy about the name. I feel like they could have done something more creative, but I love the animation. I just love the fact that he just pulls out a thermal and just kind of like, I don't know, he just kind of like serves it. I think it's hilarious. The thermal looks massive in his hands. What's the cooldown on it? 3. Cooldown of 3. Final text. Dispel all buffs, deal special damage, and inflict buff immunity on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled. Buff immunity for 2 turns is pretty devastating. Buff immunity is such a powerful debuff, and the fact that it's going to be there for 2 turns is kind of nuts. Inflict a thermal on all enemies for 2 turns. Inflict an additional thermal on all enemies for 2 turns, so we're just repeating ourselves. For every 20% ultimate charge Jabba the Hutt has. So, if he's at 100% ultimate charge, you're probably not going to throw this. I mean, hold on, let me rephrase that. If Jabba hasn't taken his turn yet, yes, you want to do that, because that is a crap ton of thermals. Then you have to also remember that Boosh is going to inflict an additional thermal as long as they still have what is it called? Deadly Bluff, the blue status effect. It's only going to last for 3 turns. So, yeah, thermals, and you got to remember, thermals do all sorts of crazy things now that Boosh is here. So, yeah, pretty cool. Whenever a thermal detonator from this ability expires, all Bounty Hunters, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies gain 2% mastery until the end of the encounter. This ability cannot be resisted. So whenever a thermal detonator from this ability expires... Okay, so when you throw them out and when they blow up, you're pretty much ramping your mastery. That's kind of nuts. 2% is a lot, because like I said, it's going to be raining thermals. Alright, let's go to his leader. His High Exaltedness. Final text. A Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies have plus 30 speed. Not the biggest speed boost we've seen, but you have to consider Boosh Leia's also giving herself and I believe Skiffguard an additional 20 speed. So you got to keep that in mind. 30% mastery and 30% max health. So probably not the craziest boost, but it gets crazier. So we'll keep going. Damage Hutt Cartel allies received is decreased by 30. That's pretty huge. So this kind of, like I said, this goes back to what I said about, you know, there not being any scoundrel synergy, because I think they really don't want you to dab into the scoundrel like database pretty much. Like, if you put someone like Vandor Chewie on this team, oh my god, like, it's going to be incredibly difficult to deal damage to anybody, because they're taking reduced damage by 30%. Then Jabba's going to have that additional 30 because he's a Galactic Legend. And then you put an additional 25 from Vandor Chewie. You're just nullifying their damage completely. So, keep that in mind. The 5th character on this team, until we get a lifter, I think is going to be revolving with a lot of different options. At the start of the battle, other Hutt Cartel allies gain a stack of My Kind of Scum for each Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler ally until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. So, if you guys remember, in Boosh's kit, My Kind of Scum, I think I pointed out, she gains that buff, and I was like, that's kind of weird. She just gains that buff out of nowhere, and she has no way to get rid of it or get another stack, and all it does is 10% health and 10% defense. Well, now, if you hand out a bunch of these, our team is going to be pretty buff, and it's one of those buffs you just gain and you just have it forever. So it's so if I'm reading this correctly, all other Hutt Cartel allies, that means everyone but Jabba, is going to gain a stack for each Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler. They already explained in the like the comments, this does not stack like Darth Vader. You know how Darth Vader gains like 8 speed per Empire per Sith. Him and EP, they double stack on the speed gain. That's not going to work like that. They're just going to gain 1. So even if it's someone like, let's say, Boba Fett. Boba Fett is a Hutt Cartel and a Bounty Hunter. They're not going to gain 2 stacks for Boba. It's just the 1. So if I'm reading this correctly, that means they're going to gain 5 if you have a full team at the start of the battle, which can't be dispelled or prevented. Jabba the Hutt is immune to taunt effects and can't be targeted while an ally with My Kind of Scum is present. So this is kind of reminiscent of like C. I forget what C's debuff's called. It's like, I think it's like I don't know, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So like he can't be targeted while this buff is out. So they got to kill the whole team. Jabba the Hutt gains 3% ultimate charge whenever an ally with My Kind of Scum starts their turn or uses a special ability. If an ally with My Kind of Scum defeats an enemy, Jabba the Hutt gains 6% ultimate charge. That's pretty good. So that really starts to make me wonder how we're modding this team. I don't have a clear definition on how we're going to mod everybody, but if we want people to take turns a lot and use special abilities, I definitely think we're going to be modding a lot of these guys for speed. But don't take my word on that. I'm still trying to figure it out. While enemies are inflicted with thermal detonators, their health and protection recovery effects are reduced by 50%. That's crazy, guys. That's absolutely crazy. So like we are really going to apply a lot of pressure with thermals. I think once thermals are out, like you're on the hot seat. So that's pretty cool. At the start of each encounter after the first, so I'm going to read that again just because I think a lot of people are getting confused right here. At the start of each encounter after the first. I wish they put the word encounter after. I think it would have been a little bit more clear on what they're trying to get across. But basically what that says is you're never going to do this in TW or GAC because it's after the first after each encounter after the first encounter. So this little clause is primarily for territory battles. So if some of you thought you were going to get this in GAC or TW, sorry. Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies gain crit damage up, damage immunity, and offense up for 2 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. That's crazy. So basically locked buffs. The only character to my knowledge that has a locked buff in the game that's not like a taunt is, I think, Grand Inquisitor. I believe he gets defense pen up and offense up or something like that. But anyways, this is for TB, okay? So, we're not going to start the battle damage immunity. That's crazy. That's basically a Datacron right there. Okay, whenever Jabba the Hutt is in the leader's slot, the following contract is active. The fact that he has a contract is like, well, towards the end of the video, we'll talk about theory crafting and like the possibilities, but his contract is fairly easy too. It's so easy. While buffed with My Kind of Scum, which he gives out at the start of the battle, to Hutt Cartel only, so just keep that in mind. Deal damage with an attack to enemies with thermal detonator 20 times. Enemies must have the debuff thermal detonators before the start of the attack to count towards progress. So, and then Hutt Cartel, Bounty Hunter, and Smuggler allies can contribute towards this contract, okay? Deal damage with an attack. So, the way I want to read that is, like, how do I explain it? Characters, like, I'm trying to think, like, okay, like, let's use Fennec Shand, for example, okay? Fennec Shand, she's not Hutt Cartel, so she's not going to get the buff My Kind of Scum, but the way I read this is it has to be a single instance, single attack. And what that means is like Greedo. So I always like to compare Fennec to Greedo because a lot of people sometimes get the way they apply their contract confused depending on the contract we're going for. So if Fennec, let's just say Fennec is Hutt Cartel, and let's say she does her basic, which hits 5 times. I believe if Fennec was here, that's only going to count once because it says deal damage with an attack. So that is our objective, that is our clause we got to pay attention to. Deal damage with an attack. Fennec is using her basic, it does damage 5 times, but we're only doing 1 attack. Greedo, however, let's say he wants to hit 5 times. The thing is, the game registers Greedo's additional hits as separate attacks, if that makes sense. So I hope, I mean, that's just the way I am reading the wording. I could be wrong. But I think it's going to be single instances of damage, which is fine because Boushh Leia is assisting all the time. So, in theory, without doing AoEs, you should get this contract relatively quickly, especially with Boushh just going off every time. So you should be getting like two hits, every turn. So not too bad, honestly. It's really not that bad of a contract. During raids, this contract is fulfilled immediately at the start of the battle. That's just okay. Reward. All Bounty Hunter allies have their payouts activated, and all Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies gain 25% defense pen, offense, and potency. That's kind of nuts, okay? That's pretty crazy. Allies with My Kind of Scum have plus 55% mastery for each stack. I hope that's a typo, because like if it was supposed to be like 5, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because like some of these characters, like if we run the whole team, Hutt Cartel, whatever, they're all gonna have 5 stacks with the exception of Bouche Leia. Bouche Leia is always gonna have 1 additional stack because in her kit she gives herself 1 stack at the start of the battle, regardless where she is. So I hope that's a 5 and not a 55 because like 25% mastery, 30% mastery kind of sounds, you know, more down to earth, I guess. But if it's 55, I'll take 55. But that's a lot of mastery. And recover 20% protection at the start of their turn. Okay, so there's some of our recovery because we really don't have a dedicated healer to this thing. That's one thing I'm a little concerned about, but you know, they kind of sprinkled ways for us to heal throughout this entire kit. But yeah, 55% mastery for each stack. I don't know about that, guys. The Illustrious, unique 1. Final text. At the start of the encounter, Hutt Cartel allies have their cooldowns reset. Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies are revived and recover 60% health and protection. Okay, so let's talk about this one because this is another one that is very, very TB focused. At the start of each encounter, Hutt Cartel allies have their cooldowns reset. So that's cool because that means if someone fails, if they go in, your cooldowns you're going to be ready to go. You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting about Jabba is you can't really set them up for a cooldown burn. You know, sometimes people will do that against like Darth Revan a lot, where if they fail against Darth Revan or they don't want to use anything expensive, what they'll do is they'll burn the cooldowns, and then you know, once the fear and the shock goes out or whatever, once they do all their, you know, crazy abilities, then you go in and you can beat them very, very easily with a much cheaper team. You cannot do that with Jabba. Jabba, his cooldowns are going to be reset on everybody, so that's pretty big. So the second part, however, and I'm glad they cleared this up, allies are revived and recover 6% health and protection. They did clear this up and say that is not the case for TW or GC. Okay, so that is a TB. That is a TB mechanic. So that's basically if you like lose half your team and you go into like, you know, wave 2, your character's going to come back. This is not a ultimate like reset FU fail kind of a thing. Like Malgus, you know, when you fail against Malgus, he heals himself up. This is not like that. That'd be a little bit too nuts. This kit's already broken enough, but that would be a little bit. I think that'd be stretching it if like your entire team were to come back if we failed. Like if you just had Jabba left alive and then you lose, everyone comes back. So that's not for GC. So just so you know. Jabba the Hutt ignores taunt during his turn. At the start of his turn, he dispels stealth from all enemies. That's huge, by the way. That's really huge. Whenever a Hutt Cartel ally is stunned, which is going to be weird because I think we're going to be immune. But, you know, there's some that are, I don't know. It is dispelled and they gain offense up for 2 turns. So that's kind of like Darth Revan. It's like, oh, Darth Revan, it's like when they get stunned or ability blocked, I believe they gain 1 stack of ferocity because they dispel the stun or ability block. We're just going to straight up give our team offense up. So that's cool. If Jabba the Hutt is not in the ally leader slot, enemies can't gain bonus turn meter. Okay, so that's a pretty big one right there. So I do believe there are going to be some instances where you're not going to run Jabba as the leader. But you have to consider you're not going to get any bonus turn meters. You got to make sure you're very, very selective with your team and very selective on who you're going to go up against. Or who you're supposed to be, like, you know, if it's on defense, I don't know. If Jabba the Hutt is in the allied leader slot, whenever an enemy with less than 100% turn meter gains bonus turn meter, Hutt Cartel allies gain 7% turn meter. Limit once per turn. So that's pretty cool. So that punishes a lot of teams, like troopers, especially troopers. You know, teams that get a lot of bonus turn meter, you're pretty much just going to feed that bonus turn meter to the Hutt Cartel team as well, which is pretty cool. Whenever a Hutt Cartel ally loses turn meter, they gain bonus protection 20% stacking until the end of their next turn. That's also pretty cool. There's a lot of teams out there that like to remove turn meter, and if you're removing turn meter, you're kind of like, it's almost, this kind of reads a lot like Padme. You know, when you attack out of turn, they get bonus protection. It's like, you really don't want to take in teams that attack out of turn against Padme because you're just going to be running in circles. You know, bonus protection against losing turn meter is pretty cool. I think there are still ways to get around that though, but we'll see. The Galactic Legend Zeta, Unique 2. We don't need to read this. It's the same thing for all GLs. Unique 3, large character. This character is just big, so cool. Whenever Jabba the Hutt receives his rewards, yada yada yada. Okay, so his payout is he gains 40% mastery, even though his whole team is going to gain like 300%. Stupid. And all of his ultimate charge gains are doubled for the rest of the battle. That's very important. It's very reminiscent of Sign of Django. So Sign of Django, when he completes his contract, all of his momentum gains are doubled. And just to give you an idea, guys, when that happens, Sign of Django just takes off. Like, he just goes. So I think the order of operations are get the contract ASAP, and then you get to your ultimate, like, a lot faster, obviously. So the ultimate, there will be no bargain. I really, really like the animation. I'm really curious to see what it's going to look like on the AAT. I'm like, you know, the tank. I really want to see what that looks like. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. All right, so let's read what it does, because there's a lot to read here. Jabba the Hutt gains 30% ultimate charge whenever an ally with my kind of scum starts their turn and uses a special ability. We already went over that. If an ally with my kind of scum defeats an enemy or Jabba uses his basic ability in his turn, he gains 6% ultimate charge. Yeah, we already read that. It's already in their kit. Jabba the Hutt instantly defeats target enemy. Enemies can't be defeated by this ability. Enemies defeated by this ability can't be revived. Okay, so straight up just instant defeat someone, okay? That's pretty much what it is. Alright. Bounty Hunter, Hutt Cartel, and Smuggler allies recover 100% health and protection, and Hutt Cartel allies gain 50% turn meter. So the way I read this is like a Annihilate plus Star Killer. You just give everyone their health and protection back, you know, kind of like when he brings down the Star Destroyer, and everyone gains 50% TM. Kind of crazy. Now, if you do this against a Galactic Legend, all of a sudden Jabba the Hutt turns into the Death Star. So you dispel all buffs on them, you inflict armor shred until the end of the counter, deal true damage to the GL, and then you stun the rest of the team for one turn, which can't be resisted, which is, like I said, like, I don't know why they just gave him the same thing as the Death Star, where he just stuns everybody, but sure, why not? And then if you do this against a raid boss, you deal true damage to the raid boss equal to 30% of Jabba's max health times 5, which I don't know what that's going to look like. And then you stun everyone for one turn, which can't be resisted. This ability cannot be countered or evaded. Whew! That was a lot to read. Alright, so I want to give you guys my closing thoughts, and I want to talk about some theory crafting already. I think the best team is probably going to be, you know, Chrysanthemum, Boosh, Skiffguard, plus one more. It's probably going to be Bib once we get the, you know, he's probably going to be the lifter. I'm assuming we're going to get him through the TB node that's coming up in the new TB. That's just my guess. But I really, really like the fact that he's a bounty hunter. I'm so kind of just shocked that he's a bounty hunter. That really opens up the doors to a lot of things. Yes, we can't gain bonus turn meter if he's not the leader. But, you know, this opens up the door, I think, for like territory wars. Territory wars, you always see different variations of GLs. You always see very specific, very different types of teams, and maybe some of them kind of overflow into GAC. But I mean, like, if you want to run Grief Karga as a 5th on this team, I wouldn't say like that's a bad idea. Like, Grief Karga would reset everyone's cooldowns once the contract gets completed. Grief Karga can call Jabba to assist. He can heal Jabba. You know what I mean? Like, give Jabba more turn meter. You can put Mando on this team. You know, every time he crits, you get turn meter, and then you have a second disintegrate on the team, or, you know, a second instant defeat ability on the team, which is just crazy. You can run Boss Lead. I think Boss Lead is going to be a very, very interesting lead, just because you're going to make everyone so damn tanky. Now, like I said, obviously, I think the best way to run him is in the leader slot with, you know, the characters I mentioned. But like I said, however, I really like the fact that you don't have to use full Hutt Cartel for him to work. You know, when Chrysanthemum came out, I was like, oh god, it's full Hutt Cartel. It's literally just put all the new characters on one team. That's not the case with Jabba. Jabba, I think, is going to be a little bit more flexible here. Boosh, same way. Skiffguard, same way. All three of those characters are fantastic, I think. But yeah, no, I'm really curious to see what kind of teams people come up with, just because I think in, like I said, when you come to the theory crafting territory wars environment where you have to constantly come up with a different team to counter a specific counter, I think that's where Jabba is going to be really, really interesting, because there's a lot of things you can do here. And I think that's the reason they didn't give him the scoundrel tag. Like I said, every scoundrel in this game is a smuggler. I'm sorry, every smuggler is a scoundrel in this game, with the exception of Jabba. He's the only one, I believe, that doesn't have the scoundrel tag, and that's just because they don't want you to put like IG-11 on the team, Quill, Cat, Bam, you know what I mean? Like characters that or even Dash, characters that really, really jack up the scoundrel faction. But yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait for him to come out. I have no idea how he's going to look in 3v3. I think 3v3 he's going to not be very good, but maybe that's one of those instances where you run him under a boss lead or something like that, or you run him with just bounty hunters. But in territory battles, he's going to be very important, very good. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm really excited for him. I'm even considering doing the Omni on Boosh, just to see what that looks like, that damage looks like. Because now that we've seen instant contract plus 200 to potentially 300% mastery for your team, that's kind of significant. So yeah, guys, I'm really excited. I'm expecting him to come out probably next week. So I'm really going to try and do my best to wrap up my requirements and get on that ticket grind, because once he comes out, man, it's going to be a while before we get him to, like, ultimate and everything, because those ticket grinds are just awful. But yeah, I know it was a little bit longer of a video today, guys. I do apologize for that, but I just wanted to go over the kit with as much depth as I possibly can right now. Like I said, probably in my next video we'll talk about the modding for this team, or my mod suggestions, because I'm starting to see how this team takes form. It's just a matter of who that fifth is on the team and who the weakest character is on the team. And the weakest character, obviously, he calls them to assist with his basics, so that is very important. And there might be hope for some Embo Omicron for Territory Wars, maybe. I wouldn't hold my breath, because you guys know I hate Embo so much, but maybe we'll see. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to share this video with your guild. Leave me a like or consider subscribing. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Jabba. Like I said, I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with him, and I'm can't wait for his event to come out. Other than that, guys, I will catch you on the next video. Take care.